We've been testing the best dumb phones 2024, digging deep into the latest flavors of AMD processor and NVIDIA graphics silicon. And we know which notebooks sing and which are just tone deaf. We're not just talking about sleek, expensive new machines. Either, we've picked a range of best dumb phones 2024 at different price points to highlight which give you the best bang for buck and which are just outright awesome. To help you find the right model, we've listed the top best dumb phones 2024 and their key features, plus the things you need to consider to help you choose the best one for you. And as always, you can check pricing for any of these products in the description below. Like the video, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get started. Number 5. Light Phone i. The telephone has transformed from a tethered object for connecting you with friends and family into a portable, pocket-sized computer capable of capturing and communicating an enormous amount of information with people you've never met. If you pine for the simpler days of phones that didn't constantly demand your attention, the $300 Light Phone i could be just the answer. The Light Phone i sets the boundaries for you, limiting you to basic activities such as making calls, sending text messages, and using its rudimentary map app. Whether those limitations are practical is another question entirely, and the Light Phone i's hardware and software shortcomings ultimately detract from its utility. The Light Phone i, which we first reviewed 2 years ago but has since seen numerous software updates, isn't meant for the masses. Its creators believe that the answer to resisting the attention economy is as simple as retreating from it, and that removing yourself from the equation, even temporarily, will lead to a happier and more productive life. That's easier said than done, however, and is what makes the Light Phone i's all-or-nothing approach such a hard sell. In addition, Jenny Odell, who popularized the term attention economy in her book, How to Do Nothing, believes this approach doesn't address the deeper problem, which is that we need to learn how to engage with technology in a way that's healthy and helps us build meaningful communities. That said, you can find plenty of testimonials from Light Phone users on social media about how it has helped them disconnect. Some even say the Light Phone i replaced their primary phone. Ultimately, I think the Light Phone i is best for people who can afford to pay $300 to use it as a secondary phone with a second phone number. Despite its relatively low price, the Light Phone i isn't rugged enough for kids, and its keyboard is too small and fussy for seniors or people with movement disorders. Really, this is a luxury item for people who can afford to disconnect. Will using the Light Phone i make you feel more human? We're not sure. The Light Phone i is an arguably bland, stubby block of matte plastic that's slightly larger than a deck of cards. It measures 3.8 by 2.0 by 0.30 inches, HWD, weighs 2.8 ounces, and is available in gray or white. Its aesthetic is boring by design and is meant to encourage you to pay less attention to your phone. That said, it's also one that's sure to provoke questions from friends when you pull it out of your pocket. Keeping with its minimalist philosophy, the Light Phone i has a 2.8-inch front-lit e-ink display with massive bezels. In fact, the sum of the bezels on each side is just about the same size as the display. And while the screen is bright enough to use in direct sunlight, we noticed intermittent ghosting and uneven front lighting. A power button and headphone jack sit on the phone's top edge, while menu and volume buttons are on its right side. A micro USB charging port and speaker are on the bottom rail. The phone is splash resistant, but is unlikely to survive an accidental drop in a body of water. Number 4. Light Phone i. I've been a Light Phone 2 user since the beginning. I noticed that smartphone addiction and constant notifications were making me anxious. The Light Phone 2 was a great way to ditch all that noise and focus on the life outside of the screens. I used it a lot. On and off, it was my main phone for the better part of the last 3 years. I tried other minimalist phones too, but LP2 always convinced me to go back to it in the end. I used it so much that the screen cracked a little, but it's otherwise quite durable. I love minimalist design. From the era of diatorams, all the way through Apple and even Windows Phone, I always embraced clean, simple products. The UI of the Light Phone is mostly text-based, with clean and clear typography, pretty big spacing, and let's say quite original flows. Light Phone 2 uses mini USB because of its compact size. Fitting a USB-C port in there would have been a big compromise on the current design and cost. But we're living in a more USB-C world now than ever. Even the iPhone is supposedly switching to that port. I'd say a light phone 3 would really need USB-C as standard. Because USB-C is reversible, I'd also suggest switching the position of the port to the center of the device. Right now it's on the left side, and without that reverse plug it's a pain to plug in without looking. The size of the phone is extremely small right now. It's due to it literally being light and portable, but has some serious drawbacks. The size means the battery here is really small, currently lasting for a little under 2 days with light, high use. A bigger size and a bigger battery would be great. It also means comfort of using the interface. Everything is very small, especially back arrows, top navigation, icons, and the keyboard. The keyboard actually rotates the display around for it to fit, but then you're left with very little space to actually type in. Number 3. Unihertz Jelly Star. If you want a phone that's too small to get addicted to, the Unihertz Jelly Star, $229.99, does everything you need an Android phone to do. It's a heck of a lot more functional than the $299 Lite Phone I, but it's tiny enough that you simply won't want to spend too much time using it to send texts, take photos, or watch videos. Of course, the audience for this type of phone is also likely a small one, so most people searching for a tiny phone are better off checking out the Samsung Galaxy S23, $799.99, or the iPhone 13 mini, $599.99. They're still easy to use with just one hand, but a much better size for everything from playing games to making video calls. And if you want to get away from smartphones altogether, you can look to the affordable Nokia 2780 Flip, $89.99, which features a traditional clamshell design. It's small, but makes a statement. The Unihertz Jelly Star is tiny at 3.74 by 1.95 by 0.74 inches HWD and 4.09 ounces. To put that into perspective, the iPhone 13 mini is 5.18 by 2.53 by 0.30 inches and 5.0 ounces. Of course, for the phone to be so small, it must have a small screen. Unihertz includes a 3-inch LCD with 854 by 480 pixels. That's a lower resolution than most phones, but it still looks relatively sharp spread across the small screen. I found it relatively bright in testing, though it was difficult to see in direct sunlight. While the size is likely the main selling point for most people, I can't say it is for me. I couldn't get comfortable with the phone no matter how much I used it. I kept dropping it, hitting the wrong thing on the tiny screen, and generally just finding that everything I wanted to do was made more difficult by the size. This is definitely a preference thing, and probably related to my somewhat large hands, but it's something to keep in mind before you decide whether going truly tiny is right for you. Outside of the size, the phone has some other interesting visual tricks up its sleeve. The back features a large LED that blinks to alert you of notifications. It's much brighter than the small LEDs typically used for a camera flash on the back of most phones, so it's definitely useful as a flashlight. There's also a fingerprint reader on the back that works as intended, as well as a small Unihertz logo. You can customize the light using a widget on the home screen, which is a nice bonus but feels like more of a gimmick than a useful feature. Another cool design choice is the translucent plastic used for the body. You can see the phone's internals through it, which makes for a lot more visual interest than your typical slab or aluminum or dark plastic. You can get the phone in blue or red. We tested the blue model, and it's a nice dark shade that almost looks black in certain lighting. The top edge has a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is a feature that's becoming increasingly less common. The left edge houses the volume rocker, while the right edge has the power button, a customizable second button, a dual nano SIM slot, and a USB-C charging port. The speaker is located on the bottom. Number 2. Pumped MP02. We first reviewed the security-focused Pumped MP02, $349, back in 2019 and thought the features didn't entirely justify the price, but it has improved in every way since then. The 2021 revision of this stripped-down phone has new software that improves battery life and adds 4G voice calling on T-Mobile's network as well as AT&T's. And it supports secure texting calls, voice messaging, and picture messaging through Pigeon, an implementation of Signal Private Messenger, a feature no other voice phone has. That warrants a full reassessment. Voice phones have several target markets, including parents, seniors, and digital disconnectors. The MP02 is designed specifically for executives and hipsters who feel they're too addicted to their smartphones and need to be forced to pay attention to the world around them. Thus, the $349 price, ridiculous when you consider the minimal feature set, but reasonable if that's what you're used to spending on a nice jacket or a weekend at a B&B Punt, is a small Swiss company. It makes beautiful and expensive electronics, including an alarm clock, a cordless phone, and a USB charger that evoke mid-20th century design aesthetics. The MP02 is designed by Jasper Morrison, a British product designer who has worked a lot with minimalist Japanese brand Muji. That physical design is the best thing about the MP02. A friend of mine jokingly referred to it as the calculator due to its round black buttons. But I think the buttons more evoke Mark Newson's work or kooky 1980s design phones. In your hand, it nails the feeling of phoneness. The matte polycarbonate chassis has a rubbery trapezoidal back. It's protected against splashes, but isn't fully waterproof. At 4.6 by 2.0 by 0.57 inches, HWD, and 3.5 ounces, it fits easily in your hand and slips effortlessly into a pocket. The only ports on it are a port for connecting headphones or a charger. It looks like USB-C, but it only works with Punk's included accessories and a nano SIM card slot. The 2-inch 320 by 240 transflector screen is readable in sunlight and has a minimalistic text-only interface. The only time you ever see an image is when someone sends you a picture message. By default, it displays the date and time. That's it. Number 1. Nokia 6300. I'm a little bit in love with the Nokia 6300 4G, $69.99. A KOS quasi-smartphone that's an ideal traveling companion. The 6300 looks like a candy bar voice phone, and its form factor alone will keep you from getting sucked into the internet. But it has just enough smarts to help you navigate, play some music, and keep you connected around the globe. If you want to stay reachable while you keep your eyes on the sights around you, it's a perfect choice. That makes it our editor's choice for simple voice phones on T-Mobile's network. Big smartphone slabs rule America, but there's still room in many hearts for voice-focused phones with traditional keypads. Many voice phone users will have to upgrade their devices soon because the carriers are turning off the 3G and 2G networks that older voice phones rely on. Fortunately, a new generation of 4G LTE voice phones has sprung up. Some sold by carriers and some, like the 6300, unlocked. Buying unlocked means you can take advantage of super cheap phone plans from virtual operators such as US Mobile, which has an unlimited talk and text plan for $10 or a plan with 1 GB data for $15. If you're used to a smartphone, you'll be amazed by how far 1 GB stretches on a voice phone like the 6300. Even when you're streaming music or checking social media, this smooth, matte plastic slab is available in gray, green, or white. It measures 5.17 by 2.09 by 0.54 inches, HWD, and weighs only 3.5 ounces. It's a little taller than the less expensive Nokia 225, but still easy to slip into a pocket. There's a basic 2.4-inch 320 by 240 pixel LCD under an easily scratched, but not easily cracked, plastic panel. The number pad is flat and close set. It looks elegant, but if you have motor challenges, you'll prefer a phone with a more separated keypad, such as the Sunbeam F1. There's a typical and divisive Nokia quirk here: no hardware volume rocker. Some people like that. I'm not a fan. You use the cursor pad to change the volume in a call. Otherwise, from the home screen, you press up and then use an on-screen setting slider to change the volume.